Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Grit Culture. Man, y'all created a monster. Well, the monster's already been created. It's been created for years. But they've taken it. It's in Super Saiyan mode now. This is Super Saiyan mode now. It's the whole savior persona gonna go completely through the roof, man. It's crazy, man. It's we're gonna see where this goes, but yeah, of course, unless you've been living under a rock, there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump yesterday, while he was at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. There's just a lot of questions going from he was hit in the ear. There was about 8 shots, only one grazed him in the ear, and I think there's a possible one that may have hit him in his jacket. He could have been possibly wearing a vest or whatnot, but it's just crazy. There's a lot of questions with this, like a lot of people wondering how the shooter even got in the vicinity in the first place, especially from where, the vantage point of where he was seen on top of the building and everything. Like, people on the ground could see him, so how could Secret Service or anybody, the snipers on the roof, how they weren't able to prevent this before the shooter was able even to get the shots off? And you talk about somebody climbing on the roof with a big ass rifle. You would think they're supposed to have their eyes trained on stuff like this. And then there's videos showing them, aiming, and not firing. Well, this is what they report, is reportedly, allegedly how it went down. They aiming, they have eyes on the shooter, not firing or whatnot. Just a whole lot that's going on. This whole thing is absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. But I've thought this was possible for a long time, especially, they try to make it, the left, and I'm with neither side or whatnot, but the left tries to make it as if, it's something more likely to happen to a Democratic politician. It can happen to anybody, but they try to make it like it's something more likely to happen to a Democratic politician rather than a Republican. And I've always said it was vice versa. I've always said that it's more likely for Democratic voters to commit violence. They've shown it time and time over again, and then try to gaslight. They sit there, try to gaslight and act like it's the quote unquote right, or Republicans who are the violent ones, who carry out violence. But they've been empowered. They've been empowered to commit this shit because they've painted him, Trump, as the Hitler figure and the end of the world and stuff like that. So they feel justified on doing anything that they want to do and attacking anybody for their personal beliefs. I mean, even last election, there was people that were being attacked in public for being Trump supporters and stuff like that, right? And it was just ultimately being ignored, and still the finger being pointed at the right. Like I said, in all of this, I view everything from an objective lens. Don't have no dog in this fight. I've made videos telling people who Trump is. He's not somebody who's going to clean out the swamp, anything like that. He's not the savior. He's not going to save America or whatnot. But I have believed that something like this was going to come into play. Now, I thought it would be after, a second presidency. I didn't think they would, try something like this damn early. But of course, we knew this was going to be a crazy. It's already been a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's been a crazy election. They already elevated his status even higher with the finding him guilty and everything like that. Like, it's then him damn near getting killed just through the roof. But yeah, man, it's been fostered for a long time. When you sit up there, then the Democrats, when they talk about January 6th and talk about rhetoric, and January 6th wasn't even, they try to make it like that was 9/11 in the war, talking about it's the worst thing that's happened since Pearl Harbor. And
certain dates echo throughout history, including dates that instantly remind all who have lived through them where they were and what they were doing when our democracy came under assault. Dates that occupy not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021.
All of that crap. It was just a bunch of, it was BS. It was nonsensical to do, but, you know, bunch of old folks, people coming in acting a fool and jumping on tables and messing with stuff. And they didn't even come in with guns. You got people coming in on scooters and stuff like that. And that was then that's, you know, there's been a lot of evidence to show that that was an inside job, right?
Director Wray, does the FBI have confidential human sources? Did the FBI have confidential human sources embedded within the January 6th protesters on January 6th of 2021?
Well, Congressman, as I'm sure you can appreciate, I have to be very careful about what I can say about when
even now, because that's what you told us 2 years ago.
May I finish? About when we do and do not, and where we have and have not used confidential human sources. But to the extent that there's a suggestion, for example, that the FBI's confidential human sources or FBI employees in some way instigated or orchestrated January 6th, that's categorically false.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people, no, we did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol?
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Wray,
confidential human
gentleman's
sources.
time has expired.
There's people who are questioning this. You know, is this a psyop or anything like that? You know what's funny is it's a lot of people on the side, on the left or whatnot, who rebuked that type, those type of statements or any suggestions that things like January 6th could be a psyop or things that like COVID or stuff like that. They tried to shit on anybody and, you know, label everybody conspiracy theorists or whatnot. But all of a sudden, everybody's a conspiracy theorist. All of a sudden, this was all planned. This was all planned. This was all a setup. It's a psyop all of a sudden, right? They're hypocrites. And I think everybody should look into stuff like that. You know, no matter who it is or what it is, they should look into stuff. But all of a sudden, everybody's conspiracy theorists, right? And then some of the people who were pointing out different conspiracies on other stuff, and now they're trying to shut down, or they're mad at people who are labeling this as a complete conspiracy, right? It's just a whole bunch of nonsense going on. But like I said, man, you sit up there, you actively talked about and, you know, and just, you know, made it all right to talk about committing violence against your political opponents.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes?
folks' booth when you need him.
That's it right there. Pull it up.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Meanwhile, trying to, like I said, trying to gaslight and act like that they're like that, you know what I'm saying? And you've done this the whole time. I mean, it's just, and I'm not saying that the shooter, he had any, I don't know what his political affiliation or anything like that. But, you know, you're talking about people, Hitler and just all of this different stuff, man. Like, when do you become accountable for your rhetoric, right? Because this is the standard that you set. And I'm not saying that you should be held accountable or anything. I don't think that you said anything or said anything that specifically said go out there and shoot Donald Trump, right? But you have more than the Republicans. The Democrats have fostered a very violent, very violent climate in politics, man. They, you know what I'm saying? So where do they hold themselves to the same standard? You know they're not. You know, you definitely know they're not. Shit, they won't even report this shit the right way. You know, some of the left-wing sites, CNN, MSNBC, they talking about, oh, he fell down, or it was his rally was interrupted by Secret Service. It's just it's crazy, man. Interrupted by loud pops. No impartiality at all, man. No impartiality, very biased, man. But that's just the game. That's the game that we're in right now. Also, you got to question Joe Biden and Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas on how they've denied more Secret Service for Donald Trump. They said there was reports that, you know, leading up to it, Donald Trump had been requesting more security, right? How they denied RFK Jr. from having any Secret Service at all, right? It's crazy, especially given his family history, but they've denied him. They denied him for stuff like that, and it's crazy. You know, when you in politics and stuff like that, it's something as divisive as politics. You just got all type of crazy people. So why you would deny a person that is just, it's insane. Maybe they have their reasoning, but we can only speculate. But this whole thing is crazy. Like I said, I just wonder. I'm taking everything at face value. But I have my different thoughts on this. But I'm just wondering how the shooter even got up there in the first place. How he even got in position. There was people talking about that they were warning the police and telling them that, hey, somebody just climbed up on the roof with a rifle or whatnot. And what they were being said was being ignored, right?
And watch and listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see them, but we could hear them. So we walked up. And probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking, I'm estimating here, I have no idea, you know, but we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle, absolutely. We're pointing at them. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police are like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling police in the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean...
You would think, like, if there's any type of threat like that or something like that's been reported in the crowd, that would be relayed to the Secret Service for them to get Trump out of harm's way, right? Because, you heard the radio when they brought him to the ground. Everything was being radioed, and they radioed in when they had actually neutralized the shooter, and it was all right for them to move out and get him out of harm's way, right? But it's crazy. You see, he created that iconic photo. Oh, man. They created an iconic photo, man. He elevated to, he was already savior status, but, man, this just takes it to a whole nother level, man. Like I said, I got my thoughts about this, but we'll just deal with this at a face value level. We'll deal with the information that we got as it comes along. And if anything else pops up, we'll talk about it. But it's the great culture. Get ready. Get ready. It's gonna be a show.